Welcome to this whistleblowing presentation by Mothers Out Front. Roanoke is that's the team that we have, and we have a statewide whistleblowing campaign on the Department of Environmental Quality because they have not been doing the work that needs to be done to protect our water. They have not been enforcing the environmental laws. So I'm going to be presenting the evidence, GPS date and timestamp photographs and videos to you so that you can see what's been happening here. But I thought it'd be nice to start with an introduction for those of you that haven't been on the front lines of a 42-inch pipeline being built through your community. I thought this would be a good way, a video that was done by Artivism, and I forgot the Something Sing Collective. It will be part of it, but it's a video and it's a wonderful song. It's one of my favorite songs. It's a great anthem, and the pictures will give you an idea. Part of it was filmed in Union Hill along the ACP pipeline, which has since been canceled, and part of it along the Mountain Valley pipeline.
I'll take you to the river, tell you what I see. I see the truth in the water, shining back at me. Everything in time, since the world began, feel it breathing in the air, feel it buried in the land. I'll take you to the river, tell you what I hear. I hear the thunder in the distance, I hear the river say a prayer. Here come that company man, here come that big machine, here come the murder of the mountain, here come the infantry. I'll take you to the river, I'll take you to the truth. Every life is water running through you. What are you gonna hold to? What are you gonna do? I'll take you to the river, I'll take you to the truth. You carve through the country, roll right into town. Everything in time, running through our veins. We got the river running through us, no river runs in rain. I'll take you to the river, I'll take you to the truth. Take you to the truth. Every life is a water running through you. What are you gonna hold to? What are you gonna do? I'll take you to the river, I'll take you to the truth. I'll take you to the river, I'll take you to the truth. tell you what I hear. I hear the thunder in the distance. I hear the river say a prayer.
All right, well, I hope that you all can shared my appreciation for that video. And I hope that you're all ready for some truth, because that's what this presentation is about. Because the Mountain Valley Pipeline is continuing to pollute the waterways of endangered fishes, and they are disregarding federal restrictions. The Mountain Valley Pipeline has only done erosion. Well, this is, oh yeah, okay. The Mountain Valley Pipeline has only done erosion and sediment controls maintenance since August of 2019 at the location where the following photographs and videos are going to be, except for the recent construction activity that was back on March 25th when they removed the tree sitters out of the trees, which was past the federal restriction date. For over 3 years, MVP's erosion and sediment control failures have polluted the habitat for the endangered Roanoke log perch fish. And the sediment-filled water inhibits the ability of the endangered Roanoke log perch to be able to find food, mate, and survive. And then there's a quote from our newspaper that says the Roanoke log perch, an endangered species, reproduces between March 15th and June 30th, causing the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to set a time of year restriction on construction activity in water bodies. And I'm not able to read the rest, but essentially it's to protect the fish. And they went in and they removed the tree sitters and dropped logs and brush in the stream. That's the habitat for the fish. And they didn't have a permit to cross the stream. And to this day, they still don't have a permit to do so. And the following slides are from pollution events that have been reported to the Department of Environmental Quality, except for the ones taken on September 21st. And there's also another photograph that I added. And I'll point that out when that happens. Okay, this was taken on March 27th. All this is the year 2021. So March 27th, it was after an inch of rain. The MVP turnout on Yellow Finch Lane continues to fail, causing non-point source pollution. So I'm going to go ahead and play this video.
March 27th, 2021. Just like it normally does, when there's a rainstorm, all that impervious surface goes and hits the water bars, come down into the filled up sinkhole, comes down, collects here, and puts pressure where it always does on the soil underneath. Doesn't matter how many silt socks you stick on top or how many blankets you put on, because it's coming underneath. Let me see. Is that bubbling? The water flowing underneath all the erosion and sediment controls, coming underneath the blanket, because they didn't listen. They didn't do ground truthing or see what type of soils are here. It is just pouring down. That's where it goes down to the waterfall down there on the lane. So that's the reality. This is where it's coming from. It's coming from this project, this polluting the habitat for the endangered Roanoke log perch. Goes down there, hits those little waterfalls, and goes down along the lane, and then it goes into the waterway, the habitat for the endangered Roanoke log perch, and when the spawning season has begun.
So in that video, you could see across the stream where the tree sits had been taken down. Okay, it's not advancing.
March 20.
Oh, there we go. Okay. So then this is March 28th after only less than a half inch, 0.4 inches. There's a rain gauge out there. This shows the Mountain Valley Pipeline's non-point source pollution leaving the corridor, going down the lane under the erosion and sediment controls and going into the stream. So before I was up above and now this is down below in the lane. So.
March 28th, 2021. Just going to bring it down here. I already did a close-up with the little mini waterfall coming down here. The little spring rain this morning has cleared up. The sun was out just a second ago. We had some horrendous thunderstorms in the middle of the night that I'm sure led to a lot of pollution probably going into the stream. We're just coming down here showing how the water comes down. It collects here, putting a lot of pressure on the erosion and sediment controls. And that creates the opportunity for the soils to move out of the way of the water, and then it creates these tunnels underneath the controls. I filmed some of that yesterday. So let me come over here and make the connections of yeah, you can see it draining through now. So there's the big puddle up here. There's their attempt at erosion and sediment controls, the blanket, and you can just see the water pouring underneath, draining down, coming down here. And then let me connect this with over here. In case I didn't say the date, it's March 28th, 2021. So let me come down here. Let's see. Around the brambles. Yeah. And then through the tunneling, the piping underneath the soils, you can see it entering the waterway, which is why the soil scientists keep saying you need.
So I'm just going to pause it here. I don't know if you can see my cursor, but this is where the water, it has gone underground and is coming out of the side. And the reason why is because the water pressure has moved less dense soils out of the way and created a tunnel underneath, and it's coming out and pouring into it. But that's very significant, especially after only 0.4 inches of rain, to show this much pollution going in. And when the water is that polluted, it's like, it would be like breathing smoke for us. That's for the fish. The sediment is very harmful to them.
You need to do ground truthing to see what's here, because that's how it ends up getting over here. See it.
I'm going to go ahead and exit that. It goes on for a little bit later, but I think you all get the point about what's going on there. And the significance of this documentation is what the soil scientists and the engineers have been saying all along with the Mountain Valley Pipeline and to the DEQ. And so far they've been ignored, and this is just documentation of showing that they know what they're talking about.
March 28th, Oops. 2021.
Nope. I want to go to the next slide. Okay, good. There we are. All right. So then this is March 27th. And this is, I believe, another place along there. So let me put the video on and see what it's going to say.
March 27th, 2021. I just wanted to capture some like this. This is called landscape.
Okay, this is the same location as before. It's a different day. This is after an inch of rain.
Okay. So this is where it's going over into the stream. This is where the habitat is for the endangered Roanoke log perch. You can see the polluted, the sediment filled.
Okay, and just to point out to the left, for all these videos, there's a GPS date and timestamp photograph that goes with them. We'll move on to the next slide.
March 27th.
I hope I'm going the right direction. Yeah, okay. I was just making sure I was going in the right direction.
March 28th, 2020.
So this is in a different location then. This is on the access road. So this is not actually along the MVP corridor. This is the access road to get there on Yellow Fetch. That's been a continuous mess. So I'll play this then.
21. This is down on Yellow Finch Lane, where they've created quite the problem here. This is where it's called the Big Hole last year. They've put extra green silt sock and mulch down, but it's not working. It is coming pouring now through the silt socks, which leads me to believe, oh, there's another spot over here where it's going through. It looks like underneath. But that's why they need to do a soil survey to see what the soils are here, because apparently there's soils that move out of the way from the pressure of water. And then they create little tunnels under the controls where the water will come through, and then that creates its own erosion and sediment that comes down.
I just want to pause and point out, you can see me walking from where the access road is, the lane is, to where the stream is, and notice how long it takes me. This is a riparian buffer, a natural riparian buffer, and that will be obvious and why that's significant later.
And pollutes, yeah, the stream. Let me see if I can get over here. So this is where it comes down into the stream.
Okay, so and then it's a couple days later on March 31st, after again 0.4 inches of rain and the failing erosion sediment controls. And if you can see over here in the picture to the left, over here, you can see the polluted water. It's coming in from the side, and the video shows how that happens. Again, it goes underground because of the tunnel and comes out.
March 31st, 2021. Let me see, whoops. Over here, where my finger is pointing, is where the water is going underground, and the sediment-filled polluted water from the MVP project is going, adding more pollution, more sediment to the already polluted water. Let me try. Go in there.
So I think
you
you guys
see the
get the idea of
plumes
that.
I've already polluted water.
Sorry, trying to advance it.
March
Okay. And then this is after, the reason why it's significant is it's 0.4 inches of rain, 0.1 inches of rain is because the DEQ has been dismissive, because there'll be like a rain event in our region where some people got like 2 inches, 4 inches of rain, 5 inches of rain. And let's say like, well, there was a lot of rain. Not at this location. There's a rain gauge at this location that's specific to this location. And the fact that these erosion and sediment controls are failing when there's so little precipitation is just unacceptable.
So it's March 31st, 2021. Just wanted to capture how this is still failing here. So it's still a problem where it's coming down, and then it will continue down eventually to the stream. This is down the Yellowfinch access road before you get to the corridor.
Okay, and welcome to people that have just joined us. We're looking at a lot of muddy water. This is the documentation of that we've been doing it. I've done it. Oops, sorry.
So it's March 31st.
At this location, proving that our DEQ isn't doing an adequate job protecting our water. So earlier that was after 0.1 inches of rain. I went back later after 0.3 inches of rain for a total of 4 inches, 0.4 inches of rain. So lots of times how the rain happens in our region is we don't have like a steady rain. We get more rain in our region than Seattle, Washington does, but we get it in like dumps. We don't have like gloomy weather like Seattle, Washington does. We get our weather in dumps, but these aren't huge dumps. 0.1 inch, 0.3 inch. That's not a big dump, but it's enough if things aren't done right.
March 31st, 2021. Just wanted to show this is where the big hole was before. We just got some more rain, and you can see that it's going around the new green silt sock and going over the previous silt socks there and coming down here, going towards the creek, and then that is even pouring through more.
So again, it's the same spot. Water going
through.
And the significance there, that's what's creating the problem. Because there's a natural riparian buffer. If those silt socks weren't there, those silt socks are creating a dam. And that's what's building up the water and creating that pressure there. It's crazy that those erosion and sediment controls are there. The MVP project is the one that's created this disaster. There wasn't a problem before. All right, let me try and get this to advance. There we go. Okay, I think this is the same.
March 28th, 2021. Just going to bring it down here. I already did a.
So I already showed the spot. It's basically the same thing before. And I can send you this presentation of slides if you all want to do a deeper dive with it. But I showed you the same thing before. Oops.
March 28th, 2021. Just
okay, so one of the things I do is because the DEQ will say like, well, when it rains, it gets muddy. So this is upstream on March 28th after 0.4 inches of rain. I went upstream to say like, okay, well, what's it look like upstream? So that's upstream from where the MVP corridor is.
This is upstream from the Mountain Valley Pipeline. You can see the clarity of the water upstream from the project. I'm going to capture that.
So that's March. Where the corridor is. So the water is clear, as you can see in the GPS date and timestamp photograph. The water is clear. Okay, so this is further up on the Mountain Pipeline corridor. I'd always wondered why there was so much runoff, muddy runoff at a place, but the leaves hadn't come out in the trees, so I was able to find these turnouts and find out what was happening up there.
March 28th, 2021. Another place where the turnout hole is filled up, and again it's coming underneath the silt sock.
So if you notice, the water looks pretty clear going underneath the silt sock, and that's what DEQ will say, like, well, the silt sock's doing its job and the water's clear coming through. The problem is the steep slope and the volume of water that it's directing. It makes like these little miniature canyons that makes the sediment on the outside, but non-point source pollution is. And that's what brings the sediment down that goes and enters the stream. So just to let you all know, my background's
March 28th.
My background's in insurance and finance. So I've learned all of this in the last 2 years from people that know what they're talking about, soil scientists and engineers. So this is another spot there, basically the same thing. It's a very steep place though.
March 28th, 2021. I had always suspected there are many other places along the Mountain Valley Pipeline where the erosion sediment controls were failing. Today I found a new spot that I was able to access with the leaves being down. And this is on the other side of the corridor from where I've been recording the other problem with the silt socks. There you can see this, the sinkhole's full and it's coming underneath because of the soil, the controls. And you can see, and we haven't had much rain. There was only, it was 0.4 of an inch of rain. It was in the range gauge.
Okay, I think you guys get the picture there. Welcome to those joining. I will send out, we'll send out the link to this presentation, and there's also a recording of it too. So I know some people are entering a little bit late. We welcome you. Look how steep this hole is. Those are sandbags there. You know that they knew that they were having problem in this area. This is crazy, and all this jute blanket, mesh, burlap type thing that's there, and the sandbags. they probably spent a lot of time working on this, and it still fails. It still fails. This is only after 0.4 inches of rain.
March 28th, 2021. I guess I'll call this hole 2 or turnout 2. This is another place, and you can see they know they've been having problems. Look at those sandbags that are there. That hole's filled up. There's water running off the hole, putting pressure on the silt socks, and then here we go. And the pressure from the water made a tunnel underneath the controls and is coming down here, and then again it goes into where the watershed is for the.
That is a very steep slope. That was really, I'm a hiker. That was hard for me to hike up. It's a very, very steep slope. I had to, like, it was almost like scaling a rock wall. It was a very steep incline there.
The culvert that goes under Yellow Finch Lane. So serious systemic problems when you don't listen to scientists that tell you to do an Order 1 soil survey. Again, not much water.
Right. You guys get the picture there. Sorry for some of the repetition.
March 28th.
Hell, I'm very frustrated filming this. I've been going to the same spot for over 2 years. And this is where finding those places was very significant to me, because I had seen this muddy water going into a culvert and wondering where it was coming from. And this is where I connected the dots to those places way up the hill that I was able to see, because as you can see, the leaves hadn't come out in the trees yet. So I was able to get there and see it. It's very hard to document starting at this time of the year onward, because there's not many lights. You can't document in the dark.
March 28th, 2021. I don't know if you can see the white plastic of the Mountain Valley Pipeline corridor up there, but that's where I was just taking pictures of the water going underneath the silt socks, the erosion sediment controls. So this is where it joins up, one of the places at least. And then you can see how the non-point source pollution picks up more sediment.
That was an old logging road that was up there. So that's not the access road, that's the old logging road. And then you can see where it's going through the culvert, and it goes down to the stream from there. All right, moving onward.
March 28th.
Okay, and so from that spot, this is where it comes down, and from this picture, that polluted water that I was just filming, it enters from over here and goes and joins the stream. So here we go.
March 7th, 2021. So that waterway is coming down from where the waterway crosses the Mountain Valley Pipeline corridor, and then it merges with this watershed, this little stream coming down here. You notice it's even more polluted. This is from the other side, the watershed coming down from the other side of the Mountain Valley Pipeline corridor. You can see it coming through the culvert over here, and down over here. Now this is where I've been reporting holes in the super silt fence on this side of the corridor, this watershed of the corridor, since June of last year. And I'm going to go up and check on that. When I was just up there the other day, there wasn't just 1 or 2 holes, but it was more like 4 or 5 that were there that have not been repaired. So this project is
Okay,
just.
I think you guys get the gist of that. So where we are right now is on the access road. We're not where the corridor is.
Seventh, 2021. So that.
Getting a little bit better at this. Okay, so this again is on March 31st after 0.4 inches of rain, and just here, I'll just let the video play.
March 31st, 2021. This is the other side of the access road. Actually, the erosion and sediment controls are failing on this side. It's coming under the green silt sock, over the yellow silt sock, and just pouring down into the little stream. And that is what is going under the culvert to be picked up on the other side, where all that pollution is going into the stream.
So not only is that pollution going into the stream, but also when I was up above and took those pictures that went underneath the logging road, that also goes there too. So double whammy there.
March 31st.
Okay, now this is from the League of Conservation Voters, Virginia. I've noticed this photograph. This is not my photograph, but it's a great photograph. And I wish I thought to take a picture of it from this angle. I think Maury Johnson took this photograph, but I don't know for certain. And I would like to find out who did take this photograph. I reached out to him, but he didn't get back to me to confirm whether or not it was his photograph. I know he's been extremely busy, but I just wanted to show this is the access road. And this is the landowner's driveway that comes down here. If you can see where my arrow is to the left of the thing, and it comes down here. And this is the problem. Mountain Valley Pipeline put all these silt socks up that have dammed the water coming down. But if they had just left it alone, there's a large riparian buffer there. So if there was runoff coming down there that might have been muddy, the nature itself would have taken care of it. It wouldn't have reached the stream if it had been left alone. But instead, they dammed it up and had these like specific spots where it gets through and goes down there. And so that's a real problem. So this is where you were seeing the documentation, and you're about to see some more, but I just wanted to point this out because of what Mountain Valley Pipeline did after this was reported to them. What's so frustrating is you'll send these reports and they'll come and they'll put these silt socks up that do more harm than good. And lots of times they are the problem. Okay, so here we are after they fixed the problem. This is on September 1st, 2021, after 1.5 inches of rain, which isn't a lot.
September 1st, 2021. So we just got a bit of rain and happened to be here, be able to record this coming down, see how the MVP silt socks have diverted this to go over here instead of where it normally would be going, which would be across the Yellowfinch Lane into the riparian buffer. Instead, their silt socks is diverting it, going over here. You can see where it's going over and under here and here, both sides. It's over there as well as here, and it's going here. And being dumped right to where the culvert is that goes under Yellowfinch Lane. So Matt Clark, who was here to just check a box, this is the reality. When you said, oh, everything's fine. It's not. This is sediment-filled water caused because of your project going directly into the stream of the endangered Roanoke log perch and polluting our water.
So Matt Clark is the MVP environmental inspector that went out there and talked with the landowner. And the landowner asked him, you know, are you going to do anything? And he said that he was just there to check a box. And then landowner asked him if he was going to go up and check on where there's holes in the fence, and they just rolled their eyes and left.
September 1st.
Sorry. Okay, and then I was just back there on September 21st, 2021, and the silt socks are still there, diverting the water over into the into that stream where the culvert is. So what I was saying before that picture, that's where the landowner's dirt driveways coming down, and they're creating the problem with that, putting those silt socks there. Okay, so this is down further on Cove Hollow Road, where it's contrasting. Well, I'll just be quiet. I think it tells you in the video.
It's March 27th, 2021. It's been about an hour since the pop-up spring storm happened here. And I just want to show, this is from the watershed where the Mountain Valley Pipeline Corridor is, where I recorded other videos. I wanted to show I've taken pictures and documentations of that green, those little green water plants there, and you can see the sediment sitting on them, and you can see where the fresh water from a different, or clean water from another watershed than the Mountain Valley Pipeline is coming and mixing with the water from the polluted water from the Mountain Valley Pipeline Corridor. So I wanted to show that contrast.
And this is then after 0.4 inches of rain.
So this is the watershed coming off the Mountain Valley Pipeline. This is March 31st, 2021. Just wanted to show the contrast with the water coming underneath Cove Hollow from another watershed. You can see how clear it is here and how it mixes over there. You can see how the clean water's to the bottom of the foot, bottom right, polluted to the left, and it mixes together as it continues down. So I'm just going to go across the road to connect the dots and give some perspective. Just to show here another angle of where it's going through the culvert, going down to mix, and then come across here. You can see some turbidity in this water. You can see some turbidity, but it's a whole lot clearer than the polluted sediment-filled water coming from the Mountain Valley Pipeline.
It breaks my heart because, like I said, that sediment-filled water is like smoke for the fish. They can't breathe. And this is the habitat for endangered species.
So this is the water.
Oh, so now this is going up to where there's holes in the fabric, and you guys can see the video with the super salt fence.
March 27th, 2021. This is uphill on the corridor on the other side from where the waterfalls were. I've taken the shot before and reported since June this hole in the fence, and now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 holes. It has not filled up enough on this side to be pouring out like I've captured before in the past, but you can see the rocks there that probably helped add the friction to get there. But we're still, even though it's a super silt fence here, there are still water going through and underneath it here. Zero in on that. That's seeping underneath, as well as here. It's running a little bit faster. Let me see. So they come down like they have before in the past. They combine here. It's starting to settle down. It's been a while since it's rained. And then it goes down, and then that's where I picked up down below with the polluted water sediment going to the stream. I saw a rock.
So that's and where that water goes down to is again where it goes to the access road underneath that culvert. That I've over years documentation of that. Oops.
March 20.
And then this is also showing where there's blatant holes in the silt socks, which is a violation that I reported back. This is April 24th, a picture that was taken, and I reported it, and it was still there on September 1st. And then I've been reporting since June of 2020, the holes in the fence. And I reported it on September 1st, 2021. And I did go up recently, and they did finally fix it. It just took them 15 months to do it. Just going back there, when I talked with John McCutcheon, the project manager, I think it was back in August, he was very dismissive about my reporting of the holes in the fence and said that they were pinpoints. And you can see by scale that that's not a pinpoint. That I never touched their stuff, but you can imagine with water pouring through it, it would be a pretty significant hole coming through, and it's not allowed. So this is showing, I always take pictures of this culvert on Cove Hollow Road that shows the sediment filled polluted water from the MVP project coming through. And you can see it after March 27th, after an inch of rain, March 28th, after 0.4 inches of rain, and March 31st, after less than a half an inch of rain. And I have other pictures of more significant, like where we've had an inch or two and the water, or two or more, and water's really gushing through there. But the significance of it doing it with this small amounts of precipitation is important, because it's not an event. It's not what would be called a force majeure, an act of God, like, oh, they can't do anything. This is normal weather in our area, and it's still not protecting our water and endangered species from their pollution. I live in Roanoke City. I'm the district director for the Soil and Water Conservation, or the Soil and Water Conservation District Director representing Roanoke City on the Blue Ridge Soil and Water Conservation Board. And this is showing on June 12, 2021, the sediment-filled water going Roanoke City, which is downstream from where I've been documenting in Montgomery County. And you can see the Department of Conservation Recreation adopt a stream sign there, and you can see how muddy the water is there. And then this photograph was taken on July 1st, showing what the Roanoke River is supposed to look like, and people are in it, and it was a nice clear day, and the water was clear. So that's what it's supposed to look like. And just to show you, it wasn't raining this day. This is runoff from when it had rained before. Okay. And then this is a video showing MVP drilling and working in wetlands without a permit on Bent Mountain. So just to the right, I don't know who the photographer was for this picture, but here is where the watermark is. And Richard Everett, he is a tall person. So you can see the Mountain Valley Pipeline drilled a bunch of holes there where they were told and warned that that was a wetlands. There's a spring over here and a culvert, which you can see over here that goes, and they know that there's a stream there. So this had been a drought. It hadn't rained for a month when this happened, when they were there. So I just want to point out, they had drilled holes all along here. Those, you might be able to see them, the little black cones sticking out.
So I just went by where the holes were drilled yesterday. It looks like, I guess they're getting ready to drill on the other side. We saw where they had marked, so it must be where they're headed to.
Okay, so when the DEQ's project manager, John McCutcheon, was asked to stop MVP from constructing in the wetland, he said that MVP was constructing where they are allowed to. When he was told that MVP had drilled into aquifer, he responded that was just groundwater. But currently MVP doesn't have a permit to construct in wetlands, and groundwater is just another definition for aquifer, as the illustration below shows. So this is, and I sent this information from government websites to John McCutcheon, showing him like what groundwater is and what an aquifer is and what wetlands are, is they're all integrated. And that's what this photograph shows. It's not a photograph, I'm sorry, illustration. So the state and federal regulatory agencies have been unable or unwilling to provide appropriate oversight to the MVP project. And this has led to environmental groups having success in the courts to hold MVP accountable for the excessive harm being caused by the project to the environment. Virginia's waterways and endangered species have been harmed for over 3 years without appropriate actions to protect our ecosystem. Virginia's DEQ hasn't been providing the enforcement our waterways and endangered species need. So we are inviting you to join the whistleblowing campaign on the Department of Environmental Quality. The picture to the left was taken at an event outside of DEQ's office in Salem. They got good coverage on a local TV station from there. And the video I'm about to show on the right was taken at a whistleblowing event in Richmond. So I'm going to play that for you. Oh. I'm going to give you a warning. You might want to have your fingers near your ears because we are going to blow whistles during this during this video. And if I turn down the volume, we won't be able to hear the words in between. So it's not just blowing whistles. There's words there too.
Whereas DEQ is failing to protect Virginia's waters, public safety, health, welfare, and future water security, DEQ ignores scientific and expert warnings against the project, and DEQ's ineffective enforcement plan discounts citizen monitors detailed time and date stamp photos and videos of MVP continuing to pollute streams. We will blow our whistles. DEQ is failing to enforce environmental laws, endangered species, and Clean Water Acts, or effectively stopping MVP from polluting our water. DEQ hasn't stopped MVP from drilling and working in the wetlands on Bent Mountain, while MVP lacks their permit. DEQ hasn't stopped MVP's MVP's water crossing permit application is under stringent Clean Water Act is uncertain and facing major legal challenges. In contrast, the U.S. Forest Service has prohibited MVP construction across the Jefferson National Forest, while MVP lacks complete permits. We will blow our whistles on the DEQ. DEQ has increased statutory authority to respond to imminent threats to waters by stopping work on the entire pipeline, but fails to use that authority to do so. We call foul and blow our whistle. DEQ ignores resolutions and municipal concerns of local governments that must bear the impacts of MVP pollution and economic harms. We call foul and blow our whistles. Virginia to be the conduit of a high compression fracked gas project amounting to 1% of U.S. greenhouse gases that contributes significantly to mass extinction and unsustainable warming of our planet Earth and obstructing a livable future for our children. We call foul and blow our whistles. DEQ's negligence in managing and enforcement of MVP has caused the public to lose trust in its ability and willingness to protect Virginia resources and follow its own mission. We call foul and blow our whistles. Mothers Out Front Virginia calls on the DEQ to do their job to protect our water and endangered species from harm due to the Mountain Valley Pipeline project, beginning with the following. 1, enforce all environmental laws such as ensuring the cleanest water habitat for the endangered Roanoke logperch and keep MVP from working in wetlands where they don't have a permit. 2, immediately call a stop work to all forward construction and allow only seeding and stabilization for winter and repair and maintenance of erosion control devices. 3, investigate why the environmental inspectors aren't doing their jobs. The BMP's best management practices are wrongly designed, often wrongly placed, and are ineffective in protecting streams from harmful sediment in steep Appalachian slopes. 4, DEQ must require an Order 1 soil survey with ground truthing to submit to engineers to evaluate whether the MVP project is suitable and stable enough for the steep terrain it traverses. And for all of that, until they do, we will continue to blow our whistles.
Oops. So that campaign was launched on September 22nd, and DEQ did not stop forward motion and construction on the pipeline. According to Director Melanie Davenport's report to the State Water Control Board at the end of September, I think it was September 28th, they were going to have MVP stop around mid-October, which is just slightly after now, and switch to doing stabilization. There were some places they were switching to stabilization, but that is past the deadline to be successful with seeding. August 30th or 31st, whatever the last day in August is considering the last day that you're supposed to be putting down temporary seed. So it was way beyond that as far as establishing ground cover goes. So because of that, and all the evidence that you've seen, we're launching a call on the State Office of Inspector General to launch an investigation of the DEQ and find out why they're not doing their jobs. And this is important information that the public deserves to know. Why aren't they doing their jobs? And that is the end of that presentation. So I'm going to stop share and come out and answer questions. And I think put some stuff in the chat for what people can do next.